Well, right now we're on the cloud infrastructure impact beyond telework. Well, the immediate response to the crisis demanded a rapid pivot to remote working. Collaboration is really only half of the story, as the organizations that were previously only comfortable with keeping their data in on-premises data centers have now started to think differently. While the speed of response to the COVID-19 crisis demanded a swift dismantling of the internal barriers to cloud tech adoption through a high-level shift in priorities, with cloud suddenly becoming the de facto operating model. Well, for our cloud and data center panel discussion on the future of cloud and data centers, wherein the data centers and cloud are undoubtedly an integral part of the business continuity strategies of companies to run the operations with a distributed workforce amid the lockdown successfully. We're looking at talking about the development of next generation data centers, including moving to edge computing, enabling AI to innovate and automate processes, and integrating SDDC, which is a software defined data center. We're looking at talking about highly scalable data centers, which offer thorough assessment, better management, disaster recovery, and fault tolerance. Flexible cloud model that provides improved data and IT management to derive better efficiency and increase productivity. Exploring co-location hyperscale providers for network optimization, installations, managed cloud and security services, and also the modernizing infrastructure to support AI and ML. Well, for this, we're joined by eminent panelists. First up, Sujoy Sen, Director IT South Asia, the Linde Group. Sujoy has more than 2 decades of experience in the IT and digital transformation management for large manufacturing organizations across multiple geographies. His experience spans business analysis, design, development, and maintenance. Thank you so much, Sujoy, for joining us today. Great to have you. So ladies and gentlemen, joining Sujoy now on the screen is Ranganath Sadasiva, the Chief Technology Officer, Hybrid IT, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, India. Well, Mr. Ranganath, with more than 25 years of experience in the technology industry, is an accomplished technologist and a management executive across core ICT technologies, which has done various customer-centric roles across sales, product development, and consulting in India and APAC region. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranganath, for joining us today.
Thank you, Bhavna. Namaste to everyone.
Namaste. Also joining us now on the screen is Sudhir Kanvinde, the Chief Information Officer, Supreme Industries. Well, Sudhir has received the Government of India's Digital India Award 2020 for the project, which significantly improved India's ease of doing business ranking. He has 25 plus years of experience in the IT industry and currently is heading the digital transformation projects across all 13 major ports in India. Thank you so much, Sudhir, for joining us today.
Good afternoon and namaste.
Good afternoon. Also joining us now on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, is Dr. Suresh Sheshan, the Head Innovation and Future Technologies, Business Information Technology Solutions, which is BITS, Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services. While Suresh is living and building the dreams of an industry versus academics, bridging down the technology understanding gaps, making a cultural difference in the society. In the last 9 years, he's conducted 372 academic leadership programs and team building programs across India, as well as SAARC and other countries. Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh, for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Namaste. Pleasure joining you all.
Likewise. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to present to you the moderator of this session, Ninad Raji, the Director and CIO, Health Assure. Well, Ninad is a visionary information technology, healthcare, insurance, and financial services senior leadership professional with in-depth knowledge and 26 plus years of experience in successfully spearheading global organizations. Thank you so much, Ninad, for joining us today.
Thank you, Bhavna. Pleasure.
So ladies and gentlemen, with this, the stage and screen is with all the panelists on one frame. We now request also, if you may have any questions, to type it up in the Q&A tab. It will be taken up at the end of the session, remember, if time allows. Well, with this, Ninad, over to you with your panel. Let's have a great conversation ahead.
Thank you, Bhavna. It's a pleasure joining here, and thanks for inviting us. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to all of you. It's an absolute pleasure to be a part of the World Cloud Show, which in my opinion is quite a unique concept, which brings together the best that digital technology has to offer. As you are aware, AI, IoT, AR, VR, robotics, analytics, data centers, cloud are quite prevalent nowadays in the technology circles. We all know about this. Add to that the entire bonhomie around everything digital. But are these just buzzwords or are there any real merit associated with it? Does technology really pave the way for better experience? There are quite pertinent questions, and I'm sure all of you are quite eager to know and understand the basis of this. And what better way than hearing from those who are quite well entrenched and richly experienced in these concepts? Together with us today is an elite panel of experts who have years and years of hands-on experience in data centers and cloud technologies. On behalf of the World Cloud Show, I welcome them to this panel. Without further ado, let's discuss and gain insights and also some wisdom from these eminent personalities. I'd like to begin with Sujoy. Sujoy, as we know, in today's day and age, cloud has become the quintessential element within the digital tech space. Can you share with us the challenges you faced and solutions that you deployed for hybrid multi-cloud?
Right, Ninad, I think from my side, a warm welcome to everybody who is in this particular show. A very pertinent question, Ninad, right? So we talk about cloud, and today, in today's world, as we use the term the digital first, right? Now it's a cloud first kind of a movement. So whenever there is a new solution being looked after, nobody thinks about buying a server, probably, right? Ranganathan can probably explain that better, but everyone is talking about cloud, right? Now, what do you mean by this hybrid multi-cloud kind of an environment, right? Now, because of the complexity of the IT system or the enterprise IT system, it's not only one single solution which is going to work for us, right? So we have the term called hybrid cloud. We have a term called a multi-cloud kind of coming in. So before I go into the challenges of it, let's understand what are the difference between a hybrid and a multi, or a hybrid multi-combination kind of. I must be honest that if you talk to 10 of us at this particular forum or in this group, most of the situation you will find that every environment is actually a hybrid multi-cloud environment, right? So why does this happen? And what are the pitfalls of this one? So that if that's a question kind of. So when you talk about a hybrid environment or a hybrid cloud environment, we are talking about more than one cloud service provider. So we have the various cloud service providers available, and there are more than one of them coming up. Now, why is that happening? Because if you look into the cloud service providers and their offering, there are certain specific competency itself, right? So probably some of them is very good in AI-based solutions. Some of them might be very good from an infrastructure perspective, from a cost competitiveness. So there are various parameters on it, right? And that's why for an organization, it is very difficult to stick to one of the cloud service provider. That's why we get a combination of it, right? And that's where the hybrid cloud environment comes in. The multi-cloud environment probably is the most challenging part of it, right? Here, what happens is that you have, and it's basically a multi-cloud is a transition. I mean, we in our organization have faced that, and many would have done that, right? Who are coming from a on-prem data center to a cloud data center. Whoever has done the migration knows it very well that it cannot be just done like that. It's a transition, it's a process. And when you do that, you are into a multi-cloud environment. That means you are maintaining your own data center, the on-prem data center, and you are migrating to a cloud environment. So that's where the combination of a multi-cloud environment comes in. So basically, as you rightly said, the term is not a hybrid or a multi, it's a hybrid multi-cloud kind of an environment. So what are the challenges of this, right? The first is the complexity of it, right? So when you get into a multiple cloud service providers itself, it's very easy to onboard them. Now, when you come to that particular situation, when you have an interoperability of it, right? When you have the two cloud services talking to each other, the system is very, very difficult, right? So that's the first set of challenge which comes in. Then overall controlling the cost of it, right? Normally what we see is a multi-cloud is a shadow IT kind of a concept where the business can go in and take a SaaS kind of a service and be live tomorrow kind of, right? So this way, there are multiple pockets of clouds which comes in. And how do you manage the cost at the end of the day? Because the cost can go haywire kind of over the period. And you never know what is there. Because, if you use the term, it's a sort of a can of a worm kind of, right? You open it up and somebody has got this SaaS service, that SaaS service, and it all becomes quite complex to manage in an overall perspective itself, right? And I would say the skill for that matter as well, right? Because if you have one cloud service provider, you can concentrate on a particular skill line itself. But if you go beyond one, then you have to have multiple skill pockets coming up, right? And that in today's world is a challenge, right? And we know how scarce the skill is at this point of time. So Ninath, I would probably summarize that these are the three primary challenges what we have for getting into a hybrid multi-cloud environment.
Thank you so much, Sujoy. I think great insights. You did mention about the cloud first strategy as compared to the digital first strategy as well. And your thoughts about the can of worms also gives us a lot of insights. So thank you so much. We'll come back to you, Sujoy. I'd like to now go to Sudhir. Firstly, Sudhir, congratulations for the Indian government's President's Award, richly deserved. So congratulations once again to you.
Thank you.
Sudhir, with your rich background in financial services, government, and now in manufacturing sector, can you share your experience pertaining to cloud implementation, multi-cloud adoption, and modernizing information architecture, especially in the AI context?
Yeah, thank you, Nina. See, after 25 years in private sector, I moved to Government of India. And let me tell you, skill sets, technologies, both are at par in government sector. Volume is too big and impact is huge. Only processes are more in government sector. When I was with BFSI around 2011, we moved our production servers, that is basically co-located them and sandbox and cloud on cloud. So this was kind of a strategy in 2011. When I was with government sector, we were allowed to host, because there was an assumption that only we host in NIC, but NIC data center, but we were allowed to host even production servers on mighty approved data centers. And I'm talking about 160 plus racks, that kind of, we co-located. And in my current role with Supreme Industries as CIO, we have 28 manufacturing plants and growing. And with the help of IoT and AI, we are also evaluating edge computing along with cloud. Currently, most of our applications are co-located. I think for all the sectors, functioning and decision-making is data-driven. Data security, data integrity, and data availability are the main considerations. Efficient cloud implementation is the absolute need of the hour. Multi-cloud with hybrid features is certainly the way ahead. Now, modernizing information architecture is a continuous improvement process. In the manufacturing sector, when you talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and even digital twin can be viewed as a goal for the near future. And digital twin is already implemented. Even in government sector, they have prototype of digital twin. Even Mumbai-Pune Expressway, they are extensively using digital twin. Even government is ramping for India as a manufacturing hub for the world. And we need to understand the main focus at this point is automated, seamless functioning. Factories can be connected and efficient supply chain can be established. Seamless monitoring and tracking of consignments is possible, and all this can be monitored remotely. And this is possible with cloud. Predictive and prescriptive analytics are intelligent use of data. We guide basically actions and plans, streamlining of operations and introducing appropriate innovations will ensure scalability in the future. Data governance, data compliance requirements require attention. That is basically most important. When we talk about artificial intelligence, is all about building an agile structure capable of adapting itself to gradual or quick changes. AI should also enhance the organization's capacity to withstand disruptions in the industry and ensure business continuity. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Sudhir. I think your thoughts about digital twins gives us a lot of insights, and you're talking about the 160 racks. That's quite a lot, and sandboxing on the cloud, as well as I think the decision making is based on data-driven facts. I think that is really nice of you to share with our audience. Thank you so much. I'd like to now go to and turn our attention to Dr. Suresh. Doc, you come from the financial services arm of Mahindra, where you have already implemented several cloud and AI transformational projects. What would be your recommendations to other technologies who have just embarked or would be embarking on their cloud and AI transformational journeys? I'm sure you'll be able to share certain experiences which might help the audience here.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great question. And the way things are going, especially, let us see that or understand why such transformation suddenly. Why similar things are spoken very highly into the kind of impact. The kind of corporate digital so far focused more on the internal stakeholders and more into the kind of value proposition was only for the corporates. Now the corporate digital is moving from corporate digital towards customer digital, where every individual customer is treated as corporate, and the kind of services it's going to get evolved with the customers. That's what the real kind of challenge, and how people are prepared and how the kind of information people are prepared towards it and try to take it out. So good olden days, we had something called enabling a smart enterprise, which generally have the kind of prospects which you say access and plan, trying to design and test, try to create as much as deploy, manage and return and dispose. That's what the IT generally try to do to keep and enabling a smart enterprise. But the kind of expectation set from the kind of transformation which is happening now, where we can see the essential infrastructure, which matters a lot in terms of trying to create as much as virtualization, operating system, even application migration, mobility, in terms of IoT, trying to get as much as into the security, where trying to integrate as much as through cloud, using that web presence, trying to use as much as through the management tool and ensure the green IT efficiencies. That's the way it is now getting transformed. And especially in India, e-business is less to do with electronics, more to do with emotions. So if you set that trend and trying to gather or capture, go closer to the customers, how we can try to get more in terms of the kind of deployments, what we see. One is main in terms of on-premise data center. Because of the rural India, we try to operate as much as to go closer to the customers trying to use it, where the kind of locations which is very remote and trying to use, so we use as much as on the OPDC, which is on-premise data center, which gives fully integrated and managed data center solutions on site, and create as much as self-contained plug and play multiple products which can be the solutions part of the expectation. The next one is more to do with enterprise cloud services. That's what that ECS try to connect more of share and care model, where the transformation today, if you see, people speak about public cloud, people speak about private cloud, or even hybrid cloud. The new terminology, at least during COVID emerged, it was something called community cloud, where the people will try to get engaged internally, trying to utilize as much as information, where we have to create an earn to pay model for the customers. That means in a nutshell, the customer will get into a cloud where the solutions will be available, starts from, you call it financial services, cooperative banks, nationalized banks, MNC banks, but he will decide where to go, which solutions to be taken, and what information is to be taken part of it. The third one is high density data center, which we call it as SDDC, which generally improvise to try to explore information, which is in the web social world today, trying to create as much as information to support the customer digital, moving from corporate digital towards the customer digital. So keeping these three, which we can see enough information coming. One is on-prem, which will continue to have our legacy. Second is like trying to use as much as the share and care model. The third one is the kind of volumes which is coming today, transformed during COVID, will take it part of it. So while going through that, we will discuss detail like how these things work and what are the necessary architect which defends and supports such systems. Back to you, Nathan.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh. I think that is really, really meaningful for the audience as well. You spoke about the smart enterprises. You spoke about the on-prem data centers as well, especially in the rural sector as well. And your a new concept, I think this is a new concept called future is community cloud. I think we all spoke about and we all speak about the public, private, hybrid, and so on and so forth. I think the new concept which you have coined about community cloud, it's pretty interesting. I'm sure audience would like to know. We'll come back to you, Doctor, on that particular point as well at later point in time. We'll like to now shift focus. We have Ranganath with us. Ranganath, you're a part of one of the largest OEMs globally, and everybody knows that about HP, which is quite consumer focused and is considered to be early adopters of new age sophisticated technology. In today's day and age, data analytics, AI, machine learning, workflow automation have become the omnipresent buzzwords. Can you share with us your thoughts around these? Also, if you can share with us any specific digital transformation you brought about within your organization, especially in the context of data centers and cloud, it will really help us out.
Hey, thanks, Ninad. Happy to be part of this particular conversation and great insights in terms of whatever our customers across India are doing, across various industries are doing. And we are essentially in this job of creating digital transformation for our customers with technology that enables that. And we have seen a great acceleration come through, especially during these COVID times, a greater sense of purpose, a greater sense of commitment that's come through. So when we look at it, HP really works with all kind of cloud-based technologies that is available. And when we look at the cloud today, we essentially look at cloud being deployed across various streams, right? Somebody spoke about edge, somebody spoke about co-location, somebody really talked about, public clouds as well. So from an HPE standpoint, we look at this entire stack and we are an organization that essentially caters to anything at the edge to the cloud as well, right? About 3 or 4 years ago, we spoke about the entire future being edge-centric, and which will be where you're seeing a lot of technology devices getting connected at the edge. Then we said it will be cloud-enabled, where cloud really becomes an enabling technology to kind of spur up several activities that organizations are doing. And last but not the least, that being very data-driven, right? Data becomes the crux of any given organization. So it was a vision earlier. I think, it's an absolute reality today. The way I look at it is when you're looking at centralized kind of setups, right? We are now looking at more distributed setups across the edge to cloud that we spoke of. And we spoke of clouds which are defined for a purpose. It is typically in the industry called industry clouds, where you have a very specific industry which can use that cloud for its IT or the proprietary nature of information that it possesses. I also see a very huge change from being cloud first to cloud everywhere. See, cloud is an enabling technology. It's about a decade old today, but that is the experience that we want today. The way you would want to kind of shop is not by carrying a bag. If I say this to my son, he will pick up a phone and kind of order things from an online store. So that's the experience. That's the cloud experience that we're looking at. And that's what we want to be enabled here. We will be creating a lot of data, but how do you turn that data into insights becomes very, very important. And that is where, technologies like IoT, technologies like artificial intelligence, technology like analytics come into play. And we have been at the forefront of delivering all of this in a way that is very, very cloud native, cloud enabled. So, you will hear us speaking about as a service, which is nothing but, getting that cloud everywhere concept into your premises at your doorstep and kind of mitigating the typical problems that cloud journeys have. Several technology aspects. All I can ensure to everyone here and everyone across the board is that technology enables this to happen, right? And there are a stream of technologies that have come into play. We have talked of cloud native platforms. We have talked of cloud native security being enabled. We have talked of cloud native storage being part of all of this. So the entire data center now is transforming. It's an happening place. And that is where we are very, very glad to kind of be present and have our technologies, product and solutions being catered to every digital transformation that's happening in the country today. Ninad?
Great, Ranganathan. I think that's really, really nice of you to share. HPE has always been in the forefront of the technology innovations, and I'm sure all the CIOs and the technology fraternity, they are all partnering with you already with the sophistication that you bring in. And what I liked about your conversation was the one aspect which you touch based on, rather than cloud first, it is cloud everywhere. We all know that cloud is everywhere, right? So thanks for sharing that insight, Ranganathan. We'll come back to you at a short period of time. I'd like to now go back to Dr. Suresh, who is with us now. Doc, your industry prides itself in bringing to the fore much required amalgamation of financials and automation through extensive adoption of technology. Since you are into the innovation space, we'd like to hear from you the revolutionary journey within your sector and how did you evolve the cloud and digital landscape of and for your organization?
So it's a great question. Again, where we foresee more in terms of future is going to have much on the digital transformation, irrespective of the rural India, where rural India has three concerns where connectivity, electricity, and reachability. That's the main three concerns now trying to take it up and trying to use as much as on the solutions available part of it. And when you see in rural and trying to utilize, especially from the financial sector, what we foresee is the kind of information which we have it is, for example, we have more than 2 decades of information. That 2 decades no need to be part of the production and it no need to be on the critical crisis movement, where we have more than 1 petabyte information, where we are able to create an enterprise architect to keep the front end, whichever is for the full financial year, that data is available part of the production near DR and far DR. Otherwise, that all remaining information, which I said, part of the high density data center or ECS or on-prem, through these 3 channels, which is specified based on the user access and information can be given. The live access will have only the year data, which is trying to utilize, and that comes less than in 1 or 2 GB, which will give us more clarity to create on high availability and scalability, which tries to keep the kind of information which is required by the production and critical, which is more focused for the financial year data rather than keeping all the information crisis, trying to keep it on the production. That's what the enterprise architect enables us to try to take and try to bring as much in terms of trying to get how much we can optimize from the on-premise data center by trying to leverage and use as much as cloud enabled system, or trying to leverage the resource whichever is hosted part of it, which gives as much as part of trying to leverage more in terms of cloud, in terms of community cloud. Community cloud, since it was more emphasized now, which we can say that infrastructure is shared by the several organizations and supports to a specific community that has shared the objectives. So when you try to bring out that objectives together, we are able to create a community cloud, irrespective of the brand, irrespective of the expectation set part of it. For example, a particular customer today is buying through a particular dealer. I mentioned, for example, it's Maruti. Now, using the same link, he can try to get even Mahindra and he can get Tata, or he can get the other brands also part of it. So trying to create similar things, and COVID has thought now how to go closer to the customer, get engaged with them, create an earn to pay model so that the customer can leverage and try to utilize part of the solutions. So I'm again emphasizing corporate digital is now moving towards the customer digital. Let us get prepared for the customer digital through the community cloud. Back to you, Mr. Nair.
Great, Dr. Suresh. Those are really nice insights. You speaking about the connectivity and reachability, which is of prime importance, especially in the rural sector. Doctor, it would be great if you can share one key takeaway that will help all of us in our respective journeys, especially the audience that we have.
It's again, we would say like let us focus something more to do with an emotional based rather than electronic based. And we Indians, we are used to the kind of expectation set part of the information. And we would expect data should go more closer to the customer now instead of keeping it with corporate. So create as much as information towards the customer. Let him get engaged with the business purpose, not just for one particular loan or an option. That's where it is. Create to get engaged with the customer using the digital transformation.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We'd like to go back to Sujoy now. Sujoy, yours is probably one of the bigger organizations when it comes to mass production and massive supply chains, where you must have launched several platforms which help your organization drive business, based on cutting edge data center and cloud technologies. Can you talk to us about this phenomenal transformation that you brought about within your organization?
Yeah, right, Nina. I think for us, the journey of cloud started quite early. I mean, basically, way back in the 2000 itself, we closed down our on-premise data center and moved to the different co-located data center kind of. Probably the term cloud was even not coined at that point of time, where we moved all our ERP systems, enterprise applications out of our own managed data center and put somewhere else, right? So the journey is quite on. But what we have observed is that post doing that, the adoption of the public cloud was slightly newer for us. I mean, you can use the word probably a slightly late, right? We adopted the public cloud option itself. But having doing that for probably last 3, 4, 5 years kind of, and especially during the time of COVID itself, which everybody will agree on, the benefits of cloud is evident, right? It's their kind of thing. Right? I mean, we have done multiple solutions, right? Where because of the cloud, it is much more easier and much more scalable for us now. And we are getting a lot of cost benefit coming out of that as well. Like during the COVID times, we had to be very quick in rolling out multiple solutions, which could be, tracking the ISO containers or creating, AI-based solutions, which can identify the body temperatures and close proximity-ness, mask wearing, various other parameters which has been set, or creating a data analytics platform for understanding the spread of the COVID within the organization. So these all I can go on talking about them, right? But these are all possible because of what cloud is actually giving us, right? Now, it's not a silver bullet at the end of the day, right? We all need to understand that particular aspect. Primarily, if you talk about the Murphy's law, that what has to fail will definitely fail, right? So, and we have also experienced that. I mean, we are not out of it, kind of. So when you adopt to the cloud, I think what I would request everybody to look into more closely is that what is your one-time cost aspect, right? And don't just look into the one-time cost aspect and jump into a cloud decision. Think about the longer-term perspective, right? What is the long-term benefits, the ROI you are getting out of it? That's primary aspect of it. Because there are a lot of hidden issues within that, which if you are not properly addressing at the very beginning, there is a very heavy cost which has to pay. For example, as I mentioned, that how do you create a more 100%, like 99.99% availability, right? You have to have multiple co-hosted location kind of for doing that. And that has a high cost in the cloud environment. If you talk about the interoperability, the data transfer, for example, right? That adds up. These are all the hidden costs which comes in. And we need to be very, very well prepared with that before we embark on a journey on the cloud, right? And that's what the learning for us, and that's how our journey on cloud has taught us in last couple of years' time. I think that's what I would really summarize.
Great thoughts, Sujoy. Thank you so much. I think you spoke about thinking of long-term and not short-term. That's where the ROI will come into picture in terms of the cloud adoption and implementation as well. Thank you so much. Sujoy, quickly, if you can talk about a key takeaway for our audience.
Yeah, so I think the takeaway, as I mentioned, that we have to think about more of a holistically kind of think about the expansion possibility, what a cloud or particular solutioning, what when you are doing, think about the expansion capability of it, and then take the decision of it. Don't ever go for a short term or a quick kind of a decision. That would be one of my key suggestions, rather, I would say, that to the entire group who are adopting to the cloud and moving in this particular journey.
Great insights, Sujoy. Thank you so much. Sudhir, I'll like to come back to you now. As we know, Supreme is one of the market leaders in the plastics manufacturing space and always launches extremely innovative research-based products. You yourself mentioned that you have almost around 28 plus such regions and expanding more. You being the CIO for Supreme would be in the thick of things along with the business leadership within the organization in charting the next course of action for your digital landscape, resulting in performance improvement, right? It would be great if you can share your thoughts as to how cloud technology in manufacturing can help the larger communities to cater to their needs.
The main benefits for cloud technology for manufacturers include facilitating better communication, managing products throughout their life cycles, and tracking inventory. The manufacturing industry must meet the interesting demands for faster delivery and increased production. The manufacturing sector must incorporate this technology to stay more securely connected with consumers and the supply chain. Smart manufacturing is the method of the future. Computers and devices can communicate with each other to optimize productivity and efficiency. The flexibility of cloud-based computing enables manufacturers to respond more quickly to the market trends. It can accelerate the new product development process, because that is very important. As you said, innovation. So product development process needs to be fast. At Supreme, we believe that the cloud is for everyone. We plan to have coordinated operating system for all our stakeholders. We have also initiated MES and IoT projects. So this is for manufacturing.
All right. Thank you so much, Sudhir, for those thoughts. I think you spoke about connecting to the user, be connected to the consumers, but not only be connected to the users, but be securely connected to the users is something which is absolutely required. And you also spoke about the product development to be very, very quick and very, very fast. And that is something which is going to help the entire larger community. Thanks for your thoughts, Sudhir. Any key takeaway from your side for our audience here that will help them?
Digital transformation should aim at smarter decision making and efficient supply chain for competitive advantage.
Okay, thank you so much, Sudhir, for your thoughts. We'll shift our focus to Ranganath now. Ranganath, in today's context, it's quite evident that cloud technology is something organizations have either adopted or planning to adopt. I mean, we all know that. Few have already adopted, few are in the journey right now. However, since there are varied types of cloud technologies available, including public, private, hybrid, of course, today, Dr. Suresh spoke about community and you yourself spoke about the cloud being everywhere. It is extremely confusing to choose the right technology. In this context, can you share some insights as to how does one decide and further move from single architecture cloud to a multi-tenant hybrid cloud? Also, how can HP help businesses in this context?
So Nida, technology and usage has evolved. Cloud absolutely gives a lot of benefits, right? You're talking of speed, agility, faster time to market, ease of use, cost savings, and many things like that. But the point here is that how do you ensure that you find full value for cloud and cloud-related technologies? Because there's several other constraints that we see, typically in the form of data and data gravity, the kind of security that one needs for certain organizations, for certain workloads, the kind of compliance and regulations that needs to be adhered to, cost management as well, like we just heard earlier, is, in terms of cost, how do you really do that? So we'll have to work towards a model that ensures that we get the best of both worlds. And that's where I think the world looks at hybrid as an emerging technology. I think there's no debate any further now. It is going to be a hybrid approach that people want to have. And, we essentially look at creating those kind of hybrid world opportunities for our customers. And essentially, whether you're born in the cloud or you're an on-prem organization, the question that needs to be answered today is, what is my hybrid cloud strategy, right? If it's on-prem, how do I move to the cloud? Because everyone will go through different phases of cloud journey. Somebody might be wanting to optimize their cloud deployment. Somebody would want to have a cloud strategy in place. Somebody want to do some workload management, stuff like that. So that is where, this area of hybrid cloud becomes very important, and it's a happening part in every given organization. Question is, how can HP help? I think we can help every organization by defining a strategy to do this. One is that we do this without any kind of bias. We do this with a lot of expertise behind us, close to about 1,000 plus deployments across the cloud and hybrid cloud journeys. And we do this very systematically, whether it is defining the workloads that are there within your organization and creating attributes for that, whether this is really feasible to be hosted out of the cloud, right? There is no one size fits all. So we go to that systemic approach, and the expertise allows you to do this in a very, very scientific way. We can create those modern platforms that are agile, that are hybrid in nature, that can cater to on-prem loads, that can cater to edge loads, that can cater to cloud or multi-cloud journeys as well. So we can create this kind of entire platform. We can then help create or unify an hybrid real estate that you have, because the IT geography is very, very diverse today. So are you able to do all of those things together? And last but not the least, we can deliver all of this in cloud dynamics. Whether you want to pay per use, you consume as you would want. It is managed and maintained by Hpe. We call this Hpe Green Lake, and I'm sure you would have heard of this. But this is where I think Hpe has caught the imagination of the requirements in the marketplace. Kind of helping customers to really evolve the cloud journey, because I strongly believe innovation happens on the cloud. But beyond that, to carry a sustained innovation, you need to define your hybrid cloud strategy, and that's where we can help, with a very, very systemic way that should make a lot of sense to other customers.
All right, thank you so much, Ranganath, for those insights. Any key takeaways from your side for the panelists as well as for the entire larger audience?
As I said, the IT domain is very tightly integrated with business today. They are joined at the hip, or essentially it is two sides of the same coin. And if you have to ensure that this is really kicking in every time you want, you need to look at hybrid models. I think hybrid is the new normal. When you're looking at hybrid, we see this to be very, very customer centric. It is consumption driven and a hybrid world. So you will see the emergence of a lot of this pay per use as a service kind of models, which will enable customer to optimally deploy whatever IT resources that they have, and keep it as agile and flexible, to cater to the business needs that is going to emerge. And the business nodes are be very, very volatile. If we just thought COVID brought in that volatility, I'm seeing this to be very, very dynamic and volatile as we move ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ranganath, for the key takeaway. You spoke about the hybrid is here to stay, and that is something which is also of the future as such. So thank you so much to you. Wow, that was in fact quite a power-packed discussion on the hottest topic within technology circles. I'm sure all of you would have gained important insights into strategies, planning, and what do we need to be mindful about whilst embarking on our respective cloud journeys. I guess we are out of time. I would have loved to open this forum for questions. Unfortunately, we are out of time here. I'm sure the panelists would have been really love to address those questions. Probably you can directly get in touch with the panelists here. I'm sure they would be glad and more than happy to respond to those questions offline. With that, I would like to thank our panelists for sharing their valuable experiences and providing us deep insights around the groundbreaking data center and cloud technologies. I, along with the expert panelists, would also like to thank all of you for joining this session and making it an inclusive, interactive session. Finally, a big thank you to the Trescon team for organizing and inviting us to the World Cloud Show. I'd like to hand this over back to the host, Bhavna, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ninad. Firstly, kudos to the wonderful moderation you always do. You